We have this phrase with a bunch of my cousins of like, he's the black guy that smiles. Khalid is the black guy that smiles. Um,
Mm.
and a lot of his songs sound like the black guy that smiles. Um, Good afternoon, beautiful people. This is another episode of Album Mode. We review a new album every single week. We look at the lyrics, the production, the overall aesthetic of the album, and how that album fits into the context of that artist's career. For everyone watching on YouTube, we thank you. We appreciate you. Subscribe to us, like this video, and leave us a comment. Let us know how wrong we always are. My name is Adriel Smiley, aka AdrielSmiley.com, aka Adriel Smiley Official, aka The Godfather, aka Champion Scribe. And we're here with the birthday boy, His Royal Highness, aka the Bunny, aka much until the day he dies, King Grant.
Welcome back, everybody. It's album mode. This time we're reviewing Khalid and his latest album, After the Sun Goes Down. Khalid, one of my most interesting artists personally, because I feel like we have gotten on the Khalid train the exact moment everybody else got off. We were talking about Scenic Drive
Yep.
when nobody even reviewed it. Nobody even reviewed it. And we were
Ignored it
like, this
completely.
is and we were like, this is his best work ever. And throughout the past few years, if you just try to Google him or like anything that's, about him, like, and nothing really comes up anymore. Despite being still highly listened on Spotify, he's kind of just fallen by the wayside. I was talking to one of my cousins on Thanksgiving, Canadian Thanksgiving, everybody. Happy Canadian Thanksgiving. I was talking to her, I'm like, what happened to Khalid and like Roddy Rich? And she was just like, pandemic, it's over.
Wow. Khalid and Roddy Rich, those are two names of
Right?
people.
Yeah.
That
And I was
that's
like,
a
that's
crazy one.
crazy because Khalid still has 52 million monthly listeners on Spotify. That's not nothing, you know what I mean? We've reviewed
No,
people with significantly less.
No, he would be ranked 49th right now among his listeners as of recording. Some of the people he's ahead of, because I'm happy you started there. I wanted to start there as well, of like how big he is as an artist, kind of where he stands. 49th ranked as of recording. Some people right behind him. Future at 50, Sam Smith at 52, Tyler the Creator at 53, Benson Boone at 57. So these are all people with less monthly listeners than Khalid. So when you talk about him being a big artist, but some people are not talking about him, it makes it kind of more, I guess, stark because he is still such a big artist. People still listen to his music. He, to me, is an example of what we have on this pod in particular. And if you're a big fan of album mode, you know what we're talking about, where we have these artists who, how good their music is, almost doesn't matter to how they're viewed.
Mm.
And how they're viewed is separate from how good their music is. Because he was viewed as a big star, had all these big hits before his music got like really good, you know?
Yeah.
And once it got really good, that didn't change anything. And so I think like he's this group of artists where it's almost like what is the plus of making a quote unquote classic or a really good album? He called it his best album yet, which we'll get to how valid that is. And then I'm gonna say some words he had for the album, and then we're gonna go into our old reviews of Khalid. He said, "This chapter is about taking my power back, living in my truth, and being able to express myself freely. I'm excited for my fans to experience this new era with me, not just musically, but personally." If you're a Khalid fan, you kind of know who he's alluding to there. I think musically, it's a very different conversation. Our last Khalid review, almost 4 years ago now. It feels like a long time.
I know.
This December 2021, we reviewed Scenic Drive. If you're a Khalid fan, you haven't really heard Scenic Drive, you might not be a Khalid fan because this is probably his best work to me. I gave it an 8.5. We called it a no skips. Do you remember what you gave Scenic Drive?
I think I gave it a 9.
That's correct.
I still listen to it to this day. And again, if you even go to its Wikipedia page, there is one review and it's from Pitchfork and it's a 5.6 out of 10. So, and then if you go to the previous ones like Free Bird, like everybody and their mom reviewed it, and then Sun City again, like seven, eight reviews. So, like I said, it's like I felt like we got on the ride when everybody was getting off, and we're like, wait a second, this is sick.
Yeah, Wikipedia, first of all, include us, okay?
I know.
Include us in the reviews, have some respect. We are one of the best album podcasts out, so please have some respect for us. Um, Scenic Drive was a completely different sound because I want to start with production here.
Hmm.
It was like him really diving into the R&B side of R&B pop, and I use R&B in this case very lightly because I think for much of his career he was not very R&B. It was just like black man singing R&B. He was not very R&B sonically to me at least. Scenic Drive was the first project where it was like, oh, he's really diving in to this R&B side of his sound. This album, and I have this in my notes because I thought it more than once, and I'm like, this is I gotta write it down at this point. It reminds me of when Usher got into his pop era and had
Mm.
songs like OMG. Like that's what this feels like, Khalid's version of the Usher pop era. Do you agree with that production wise for this project?
Yeah, I think that the production on this song or this album, just feels alive. I wrote that down a couple of times. I'm like, I just feel each song is teeming with life, in a way that his previous music did not. I mean, was it American Teen, which was the
Hmm.
first one, and Sun City. It was so airy and so laid back and so just, I don't know, it just felt ethereal at times. Whereas this is like there is not a single second of empty space. So maybe I don't know if I feel the pop, the huge, when he was doing Oh My God, but I definitely feel like this is R&B when it gets elevated to that pop space. So it definitely still feels very fun. Like a very, very fun album.
Very funny. He's always made fun music. He has a couple of songs on here that are not as fun. Hurt People is one of those where you're like,
Hmm.
I don't know who this Khalid is. Khalid, he's one of those artists where you can very much assume his personality from kind of his music and how you've seen him online. We have this phrase with a bunch of my cousins of like, he's the black guy that smiles. Khalid is the black guy that smiles. Um,
Mm,
and a lot of his songs sound like the black guy that smiles. I've been calling this album like pop party mix. Like how
yeah.
you can buy like a bunch of chips and it can be like a mix of chips. This is like that, but like music.
Hmm.
Um, and Whenever You're Gone is the one that when I heard that I said, "Oh, this I totally understand what this is." And it's kind of disappointing because I literally liked Scenic Drive, and this is obviously not like that at all. Now, artists don't have to stay the same. We love when an artist changes and grows, but this doesn't feel like growth in the same way. Maybe more to the left instead of upwards. Um, but Whenever You're Gone feels like such a basic um, pop record, and it's not bad, but it doesn't excite me.
Right.
That's the feeling I get from a lot of this album, production wise, is it's not bad, but I'm not excited.
Okay, I see where you're coming from. I think there was a couple of songs that hit me like that. I think True and Instant are a couple of songs where I was like,
Yeah, I have True on here. Yep.
it's like it's okay. True feels very boilerplate type of pop song. The gang vocals and like they're like, it's true that I want you. Yeah.
Woo!
Felt a little Kidz Bop to me, a little.
How
But
dare
there
you? How dare you? This is 1-800 Khalid, okay? Have some respect for him. This is 1-800 Khalid.
Oh man. But there are songs that I liked. Nah. I liked Nah a lot. That one is more of an R&B track. Bass guitar doing a lot of work for that song. I really
Hmm.
liked Medicine. Medicine, my ears perked up when I first heard Medicine. And again, that is more of like an R&B, kind of like a funk song. So I think there is a space of like 2000s to 90s R&B that I really like that
Hmm.
Khalid can exist in. And I think when we did Scenic Drive, I compared him to Usher. but you're comparing him to Usher in a different way this time. So maybe he is his maybe that is like his artistic parents now that we're really thinking about that. But I did like those songs. I think the R&B songs that they're more R&B than they are pop songs, those are the ones I like the most.
You said there's kind of like a life in these songs that are in
Hmm.
this production that he didn't have before. I actually kind of feel the opposite. I feel like there's like a direction, but it's not executed. That's
Okay.
what I feel about these. Like even the first track you said, Medicine.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, Khalid, like
Yeah.
where we going with this? And it's like this is feels like a watered down version of this kind of song. And I
Oh.
think maybe I have an issue with him vocally more than I did before. Like Dumbstruck is a song where I loved his vocal performance. I
Hmm.
thought that he really did his thing on that. But I think vocally, like he doesn't, I guess, show off enough. Like a lot of these records, and because the pop sound is so prevalent on these, it very much sounds like anybody could sing this. Not as bad as Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is like probably the queen of that kind of thing.
Hmm.
But a lot of these records, I was like, these aren't like has to be a Khalid record, in terms of what he's doing vocally. Or even sonically, it's like only Khalid could do this. Most of this album is like,
Mm.
up and coming singer doing a demo, have them.
I see. You
So
kind of
I think
turned me on this album.
and,
I wasn't really thinking about it in that way, but I'm hearing Dumbstruck right now, and I'm like, this could have been a Pink Panther song.
well, it's funny you say that. That was one of the ones I thought of. I was like, oh yeah, this is definitely a Pink Panther song,
Mm,
and that was part of why I thought of this like pop party mixed idea, is because Pink Panthers has stepped into pop. So as
yeah,
these new sounds become pop, it's like, all right, kind of try it. When Khalid first came out and Young, Dumb, and Broke was his big hit, this sound wasn't really in the middle of pop at that time.
right.
So it's like as pop has changed, his sound has changed, which is kind of like, he is still like without a musical home in a sense, in a lot of ways. The one thing that I think is like good in this album
Hmm.
is Momentary Lovers. No, sorry, not Momentary Lovers. Um, there's a couple songs like the Pink Panthers one
Yeah.
that give me Craig David vibes.
Okay.
And I love Craig David. So I can see the place where he's headed. But I just don't have, I guess, a lot of moments on here where I'm like, oh, this is like Rendezvous to me is the kind of song that would be up my alley. Like, for example, Wasted Times by The Weeknd,
Hmm.
one of my favorite songs by him.
Yeah.
It's of the same vein. The Weeknd vocally is in a very different place than Khalid, but this song I was like, okay, like this is kind of I love the kind of R&B dance mix. Like when those two
Hmm.
come together, we get some crack, as the kids would say. And I think on this record, Rendezvous was like, you had enough to like, entice me, but not enough to keep me. And I think that is where a lot of these songs are, where it's like, it's familiar enough to what I used to like or did like or do like that I'm like, where are we going with this? And then
Mm.
once you hear the song kind of play out, you're like, you catfished me. You bamboozled me. It's like for anyone who's dating right now, when you meet someone you think is really cool, they
Hmm.
fit my lifestyle, we have some things in common, and then it kind of doesn't go the way you think it will, and you're like, oh, you got my hopes up for nothing. That's what this album really, really feels like to me. So I think as a whole, it kind of really hurt the way I viewed the whole project because he does that with a few different sounds. Like that's the thing that makes it interesting. Like you mentioned, True. True is the kind of pop sound where I was like, very, very like center of pop in the
Yeah.
way where everyone's like, I hate hearing the song on the radio. Like it reminds me of that Icona Pop song that got big a few years ago with
Right.
the chants and the kids. But I said, personally for me, I grew up on pop music and I love when the artist I like is in the center of pop. When I was a
Hmm.
big Maroon 5 fan, I said, yes, I'd love to hear Maroon 5 do this rather than Imagine Dragons. Okay, if you're gonna
Right.
have me choose between the two of them, give me the Maroon 5 pop. Khalid is one of those artists to me where he's always gonna be in the center of pop for the most part. And it's like, it might not be the same as me listening to Brent Faiyaz. If I gotta choose a pop person to listen to, let's hear Khalid's version of pop.
Okay.
And I think True is one of those where I was like, I'm trying to have that mindset with it, but I just can't go all the
No.
way there.
Yeah, True never landed for me. Hearing what you're saying about how it can be like a worse version of everything else that's happening. I guess that's true. I was thinking of like Out of Body. And that definitely reminds me of like 2000s pop R&B. I'm trying to think of even that it sounds very familiar. Like a Missy Elliott almost, but not fully. But yeah, I'm talking about the production style. Like it sounds like a Timberland produced song. Um, and
This would have been in the Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera era
yeah,
when they're working with hip
yes.
hop producers. That's what this
Yes,
sounds
yes,
like.
yeah. Exactly. It's like Timberland producing
Hmm.
a Britney Spears song. But yeah, I think his biggest issue is personality in his singing. Like his actual I think we call it like voice color, where it's like you can really tell that it's a specific person singing. And I feel like Khalid is not a person that really has that. Like it's not very distinctive in any sort of way. And I think that's what kind of hurts his songs because the song like Out of Body is actually really good. Love the production on it. I think that again that Timberland style of production is like always interesting to do. And I also like the very subtle record scratches in the middle of the song. I thought that was cool too. But his voice never cuts through the song in a way where I'm like, this is a Khalid song, like we're doing it. So I think that's his biggest issue. But I think the songs sound good though. Like I
Yeah,
think the songs sound,
none of them are bad.
yeah.
He's in this group again, listeners, people on YouTube. What do we call this group of people? The Harry Styles, where it's like they're just not making a bad song. You know, like he's
Mm-hmm.
not gonna make some bullshit. Like he's Khalid is well past that. He's there. It's not gonna be any nonsense. Now, when you
Right.
come back to it, it's a very different story. What you said about voice color, this is my last bit of production. That to me is actually his biggest issue more than the rest of this stuff
Mm-hmm.
because I really compared him to the contemporaries who came up after him. More R&B than he is, but you know, the Giveons, the Brent Faiyaz,
Mm-hmm.
those type of guys. And the difference of those guys is like their voice is so distinct. It's a their song almost automatically.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's few guys that can kind of toe the line like a Miguel. Like Miguel can have songs, production wise, are like, oh, this is a Miguel song. Like Miguel was one of the OGs of this era of doing R&B with guitars. You hear R&B with guitars, you're like, okay, this is a Miguel record. But
Yeah.
there are some records where it's just his voice is doing its thing where you're like, okay, only he can do this. Khalid almost has zero of those moments.
Yes, I agree.
And I think that is like the issue because comparing to him to Giveon, Khalid probably has more versatile production and sometimes better production than Giveon, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But Giveon's voice is so distinct. He all he has to do is cough, and you know exactly who it is. So that's my last bit of production because I think he is actually very talented vocally, where I don't think that has to be the case. But he chooses this kind of like muted, watered down singing style where it's like, yeah, this sounds like a demo. It could be anybody.
Yeah,
And I
it's
think that
super
that really hurts
neutral.
him.
Yeah, it's super neutral. In a way where Hmm. You kind of flipped this my entire thing on me here. What my score was, how I perceived the album, you kind of flipped it on me here because I was like, oh yeah, this is production is slapping. Like even on Nah, the guitar solo at the end, guitar solo, bruh. You know?
I felt the same way. Like it's funny. I think this album suffered from more listens. Like it doesn't always happen, but I think this is one of those albums where if I was listening one and a half,
Hmm.
I'd have been like, okay, because I cruised around to this. I had this in the background doing laundry. Like
Yeah.
I'm like it's fine. It's inoffensive. There's nothing wrong with this music. But the more I listened closely, I was kind of like because there's some songs on here that sound like you mentioned it before, those mid 2000s pop records. They have
Yeah.
that feel to them. And I kind of thought about some of those records and listened to some of those records kind of in contrast. And I said, yeah, like I Love You still has a certain warmth to it, and with Justin's voice where you're like it's still a kind of a pop record that is supposed to be like basic and neutral, but they add this flavor to it where you're like, oh, this could fit into a set. Khalid doesn't have that here. Like he has a quote about this is like a come live in the nighttime type of music or go out music. And
Yeah.
I was like, anywhere that I am and they play some of this, like I'm out. Like this is not where I want to be. So I think that is really, really hurting him. Do you have any more production? Because I want to get to my lyrics.
No, I think that's it for production. I think I just want to say that the production was solid in a lot of different ways, but the voice color is hurting it. In ways that I did not really perceive initially the first couple of times, but we're having this conversation and then I'm really thinking about it. I'm like, I see what he's talking about. What do you have for lyrics? I'm curious.
This I want to actually start by saying this could be unfair because this is one of the few times my only lyrics are the chorus. But
Wow,
I,
okay.
I I think this is kind of to me highlighting how he is on this whole album lyrically because not that many lyrics. Okay, very
Mm-hmm.
very repetitive at certain
Mm-hmm.
points. And I'll say Khalid has been one of those pop artists where he's not kind of like giving you the Easter eggs in his music. But
No.
like go back compared to The Weeknd. The Weeknd might seem like it's just pop, love, romance. You listen to what he's saying, things are happening.
Mm-hmm.
Khalid is not that. You listen closely and you're kind of like, oh, it's as basic as I thought it was. And and I think this course on momentary lovers is that because for my problem with this song is one, calling it momentary lovers is like it feels like it's gonna be deeper than it is.
Right.
Because you could say momentary lovers in so many different ways. So it's like, okay, momentary lovers, maybe this is some kind of deep connection, something deeper going
Mm-hmm.
on here in this
Mm-hmm.
song. Um, and in the chorus, he says, "You're my baby for the summer. Blue skies, California. You and I, momentary lovers. It always ends so quick. Such a bummer." That feels like, a preteen could have written that. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like this kind of very simple writing. It's like, what is the positive of this? Like, it can be a pop song and a well-written pop song, or a creative or clever pop song. So what is kind of the point of this like very rudimentary writing? You're my
Mm-hmm.
baby for the summer, blue skies, California. It always ends so quick, such a bummer. Like, I don't know. That just doesn't feel, that feels like you're mailing it in a way with some of these lyrics. So that's my one set of lyrics. I think that this again is an album that it gets worse the more you listen. And I
Wow.
think in this era, he's actually probably blessed in a way because people don't listen to albums as much as we do. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like we're gonna do the 4 and 5 listens. Most people are just gonna listen once. Okay, I'm saving this song.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, move
Move
on.
on.
But I think lyrically on this project, there are just so many moments where I'm like, I really, really wanted more, and at some moments it doesn't feel as personal as it could or should be. It's like
Mm-hmm.
this song, I want to assume is about Khalid, but sometimes the way that he writes it, it's like it's almost like you're writing it so I'm not sure,
Right.
which I usually think is it can be cool, but on songs that are this simple and kind of like, a really basic theme, it's like, what do you get from that? There's not really a device to doing that. So, yeah, for me, lyrically, I just was not impressed.
Yeah, I think in the same vein lyrically, Angel Boy was where it kind of hit me that I hate to call his lyrics vapid, but it felt very vapid to me where this is on Angel Boy, this is on verse 2. He's like this is a song about um somebody that he is seemingly in love with, or Angel Boy, right? Somebody that would move, like here we go. Let's do verse 1. Oh, haven't moved at a mile. Oh, haven't moved at a mile in a minute. First of all, that I don't even fully understand. I haven't moved at a mile in a minute. Okay, anyways, I've been play That's the first line, by the way. Okay. I've been playing it loud on the speakers, poolside and cheap margaritas, sangria with drink by the liter, and my life is so wild with you in it. But you show me the way, you're my teacher. Those blunts, we fill it with sativa, tongue kissing under the bleachers. So I guess like, it's okay. First of all, the first line doesn't like I feel like it doesn't make sense. Maybe it's just me, like but yeah, I think that it's fine. He's describing a lifestyle that's kind of kind of chill, relax. We're having a good time on the beach. But then he's on the chorus. He's like, "You're my angel boy. Help me fill the void. You're my angel boy. You're my angel boy. You're my angel boy. Without him, I'm paranoid." It's like, okay. And his I think his lyrics are just super straightforward, in a way that pop music is often, but it's already it feels so smooth, so polished that I'm like, I can't. There's nothing to really grip. There's nothing really interesting Khalid in a Khalid sense when it comes to the lyrics. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel like he's conveying character. We were talking about voice color, where I'm like, can kind of feel like anybody is singing it. Now it's like the lyrics are like, I felt like anybody can come up with these lyrics or not following any
It's
sort of,
generic.
yeah, it's not following any sort of theme, any sort of career theme, album theme. It's not really there. It's just we're good vibes, you know? So yeah, that's how I
I,
feel
I,
about the lyrics.
I want to talk about what this means for his career, and I'm going to kind of highlight two sides of where he's at or where he's not at. Let's say it like that. Two sides of where he's not at. I think
Mhm.
you talked about the like polished nature of the record. You know, the king of that to me in the male pop space is Bruno Mars. And I
Mhm.
think like when you hear Bruno Mars music and his music, it's like, yeah, I'm listening to Bruno Mars 10 times out of 10. You know, he's in that space, but it's not kind of as polished in that way that it could be. And then on the other side, with some of the lyrics and the tone, you know, I think of someone like a Brent Faiyaz, and
Mhm.
I'm like, Brent Faiyaz has some great production, but he has so many songs where just his voice is carrying the record, and the way that he's singing, the inflection of the way he sings, and I think Khalid is in this place where I don't think this actually helps his career. Like we haven't had one of these in a while for this part of the podcast where we
Mhm.
think it's bad for their career, but I think this is actually not good for his career. Because I don't know that there's a hit song from this project.
Right.
He's been an absolute hit maker. Some of the biggest songs in streaming history. I called him 1-800 Man. Like, that's one of them. That's over a billion. Lovely with Billie Eilish.
Mhm.
Better, Young, Dumb and Broke. East Side with Halsey. Location, like, Beautiful People with Ed Sheeran, like, his bills will be paid. There's nothing to worry about from that side, but there's not that same huge hit on this record, I don't think. And then as well, I think he was someone who was getting kind of critical acclaim for his music when he was way more on the pop side,
Mhm.
even if it was didn't have the depth of his contemporaries. I think that is gone. I think, there's not going to be that, I guess, critical acclaim the same way. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just us, or just me. Maybe everyone else loves this, and I'm the one who's bugging. But I think in a way, and it kind of reminds me of Megan Thee Stallion's last project, where it feels like he's behind, because we talked about pop becoming a place where the alternative R&B is now more the sound. You know,
That's true.
um, it's like this is not even traditional R&B. This is like very middle pop R&B when you get your like Katy Perry. It has R&B influence tracks. You know what I'm saying? So I think he's in a place where this version of like R&B pop that he's doing is one not at the level of the guys who do it really well, but this is not what the pop people are doing anymore.
Yeah.
So to me, this is kind of a like a miss for his career because for Justin Bieber to be the more alternative R&B artist out of him and Khalid, it's kind of like that's where things have gone a little left.
Yeah, I think for his career, I think it's gonna be I don't know. This is the first time really where I don't really know what's gonna happen because I we are we're like the only, I don't want to say only, but one of the few critical or just like thinker type people listening to Khalid's music still. So I'm like I don't really know what that means for him because it seems like he's still popular, like empirically, but there's like a critical vacuum that happened, but he didn't do anything. You know what I mean? Like he didn't. This isn't like a DaBaby
Well,
situation. This is not like a,
Well, he did now. Like
you
that's
know.
why I think it's so bad for his career because I think it was such a miss by the music community to
Hmm.
not see how good Scenic Drive was. If you listen to this podcast, Go back listen to Scenic
The
Drive
Scenic Drive, yeah.
podcast. Like that, we said it at the time. This is a big miss from music critics around the world because this is a great project.
Hmm.
And for that to just go under the radar completely, nothing that he did that caused that. I think he also just didn't do press for it. It really was a mixtape in a sense,
Yeah,
like he said it was. But I think when you're already viewed a certain way, to put out music that sounds like this, it's kind of just reinforced that. So that's why I think it's going to be so bad for his career because he already wasn't viewed as kind of like this guy who makes great music as underrated. And
yeah.
then you put this out. So it's like, it's almost like a double down. But
But
I want to know
I
what
don't
everyone
dislike it as
thinks.
much as you though. You don't like it as I still think this is good.
It's okay. It's it's the version of good where there's no bad songs. Like I can't see myself, and this again, this is just me. In the comments on Spotify, you can comment now. YouTube, you can comment. Let me know. I don't see myself running to any of these songs.
Right.
I think past Khalid albums, even before Scenic Drive, there were some songs that I would be like, "Ooh, I gotta listen, I gotta hear that." Like,
Hmm.
he floats. Even his song with Majid Jordan that I brought up on the last podcast. I remember hearing that clap and I was like, Khalid makes this song better. It's already good, but he
Hmm.
makes this song better. So this album to me doesn't have any of those.
I
It may
see.
remind me of my favorite Craig David song, and I'll go listen to that. But will I put Khalid in that playlist? Maybe, maybe not. So to me, it's
I
like
think
this is
most of
not.
the I think a
Go
lot
ahead.
of these songs can are gonna playlist very well actually.
I think they are too. I think
I
they
think
are.
a lot of the songs are gonna go on a ton of playlists. You can fit
They
those in a
fit
lot of
in so
different
many
songs.
places.
Yes, exactly. You should have dropped this in the summer. I feel like that would have helped as well. So we're in the winter time, and I feel like he's gonna have to wait until the next cycle of summer playlists. How do you feel about the cover? I like the cover, by the way. I think it reminds me of the JID cover from
Yes.
I can't remember how long ago it was, but it's
The
basically the
previous
same.
project.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the same concept, but he just happens to be in the middle of it with blue hair. Um, Also everybody's dancing and extremely sweaty. Very
Yeah.
gay. Very
Yeah.
gay. He also came out. I don't know if people
That's what
realize
he
that.
was referring to it
Yeah.
at the beginning. That's why I said if you know, you know.
Yeah.
But the JD cover, the Forever Story, very, very similar concept. I actually like this cover a lot. Like it's
Me
almost
too.
disappointing because I feel like the cover is better than the music. But I like this cover a lot. Like to me, whatever this cover sounds like is what I want it to actually make. I think
Hmm.
Khalid's in a place where his music is still edgeless. Even though he's growing as a person,
Mm-hmm.
coming out as a huge step, like I think there's still an edgeless part to his music. And I see it in some of the lyrics that you brought up of saying like kissing under the bleachers. It's like, how old is Khalid kissing under bleachers? And
I
that's how you
did
be under
facts.
bleachers.
Hold on a second.
Yeah. You
This
know what
man's
I
27
mean?
years old. Come on, bro.
Yeah, so I feel like there's still like an edgelessness to his music. That this cover is probably the first time I've been like, this is his first like time approaching some edge. So the cover I love.
Yeah, I love the blue hair. I think it looks phenomenal on him, and I've seen him with other colors of hair. I've seen a purple as well, and I think it just looks good. I think it looks good with short colored
Mm,
hair. So yeah, I like the cover. I like what's happening on it. The people on the cover are just like very interesting to look at. They all have like a unique defining characteristic, or multiple characteristics on it. So I think
mhm.
that's good too. Do you think it's a no skips? I think we're gonna defer on the end of this podcast. Do you think it's a no skips? No,
No,
you don't think it's a
no,
no skips.
no.
I think this is a soft
S-
skip. I think the only ones that are
Stop.
skippable to me are True and Instant in the middle. We're at track 11 and 12 of
Yeah,
12 of 17.
I think an album like this that's so inoffensive just from a sonic standpoint,
Hmm.
it grades over time. Like I think this album is one of those where,
It is
yeah,
a
if
little
this
long.
yeah, it's 17. And I like the last song actually. Last song's one of my favorites on here.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Oh yeah, I like that one
But
too.
I think that this is an album where the longer it goes, is the more skippable it becomes. Like these songs aren't bad on their own,
Hmm.
like basically any of them. But as it goes on, it's like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it starts to drag as it goes on. But the last song, Nobody Is Good, he makes a good dance track. He
Nobody
would have
it might be the best song.
Yeah, he makes a good dance track. Okay, so I want to hear your score before I offer up my score. I will say that this conversation has altered my score than when I first came in the room.
Hmm.
but I still think I am much higher on this than you are. Go ahead.
For me, Khalid, After the Sun Goes Down.
Oh, is it an
This is
album
a
cop? Is it a ooh, ooh,
vinyl cop. No, no,
vinyl
no,
cop?
no, no vinyl
No,
cop. I love the cover though. Love the cover, but no vinyl cop for
I
me.
think it might be a vinyl cop
Um,
for me. Continue.
that's insane. Um, Khalid, After the Sun Goes Down. It's a four for me. I thought about
Whoa,
giving it a three and a half.
whoa, whoa.
Um, but I think there's two things we have to put in perspective here. This is album mode. Okay, how is
Mm,
this as an album? As a full album, it suffers. The
hmm.
songs themselves are not bad, but as an album, like this is one of those where I could not play this for long. And so before someone says, "You want to play something else?"
Mm,
Like, so it suffers in that way. I think, but there is not that quality to the album. I want to come back to it in some of these songs that really makes it suffer as well. And then I think an album losing points the more you listen to it, like we don't even have a word for that, but that has to be like one of the worst things you can say. You know, it's like telling someone, you know, when I first met you, you were attractive, but the more we hang out, you're actually
mm,
ugly now.
mm.
Like that's kind of what this is giving. So for me, it's a four. It could be a three and a half, but I don't think there's any bad songs on here. So that's why it's a four. So Khalid, After the Sun Goes Down, 4 out of 10 for me.
Okay. Um, so for me, Khalid's After the Sun Goes Down, I think this is a seven. And I came in this room.
Is your brain on drugs?
This is a seven, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I came in here with a pretty nice eight, a very circular number for him. And I think I saw some flaws that I had skipped past upon first listen. I think all of the songs are still super listenable. At the back end, it's more light and free versus at the top, when we're talking about Madison in Plain Sight, Nod, that's a little bit more R&B tilt to his music overall. I like the production on the top half. I like it a lot. And then on the back, it takes a little bit more warming up to, but like songs like Nobody, um, I think Yes, No, Maybe. Yes, No, Maybe I like as well. So I like the production. I think his biggest issue is the vocal color thing where it's like the songs are not definitively Khalid songs in a way that you can tell a definitive Weekend song, Brent Fayez, Giveon, Caliuchis, et cetera, et cetera. Like the artists that we know and love, you can tell it's their song or their type of song, whatever, as soon as they're on the track. And him, not as much. I think his lyrics are lackluster. But I'm like, do I really care though? When I listen to his songs, I'm like, do I really care that the lyrics are very lackluster? Not really.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, um, because it's all about being free and just cheerful and light, and I don't know. So I think this is a 7 out of 10. I did have it as an 8 when we first came in here, but you got me with the voice color. I think I said that. I don't even know. I think I was the one who said that. I think I might have talked myself. I think I might
You
have
did
talked
it to
myself.
yourself.
I think I've talked myself down on the ledge, but yeah, I think it's a seven. I think it's good. I don't know. I think it's good. I think it's good. I don't know what else to say, guys. I think it's pretty solid.
Let us know in the comments. Okay, let the people decide who's closer to being right here. I had a four, he had a seven. We're on two different sides of history with this one.
Yeah.
I personally think this might be one of your worst scores that you've ever done for an album. But of course, time will tell. We'll see how history treats this one. I don't think everyone for
You should look at my likes on Spotify. There's only two songs I don't like on Spotify, by the way.
that's insane. We can't give you the ox next Thanksgiving. I thank everyone for joining us. All our Canadian listeners, wish you a belated happy Thanksgiving.
Hmm.
Um, Make sure you follow us on all the interwebs. Album Mode Pod on Instagram, Album Mode Pod on TikTok, Album Mode Pod on X, of course, Album Mode on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to us, leave us a comment as well. Until next time, know yourself, know your worth.
Later days.